Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Site for White and White Sense, welcoming you to this week's Talking News on Friday the 15th of November 2024. I'm delighted to say that the raffle prizes are coming in thick and fast for our annual Christmas raffle, which will be drawn on our mulled wine and mince pies event here at Millbrook House on the 11th of December. Everyone is of course welcome, but do please let us know if you're coming so we can make sure the catering is correct. The prizes are being collated by Susan and wrapped up to look beautiful. Thank you, Susan. If you do wish to purchase raffle tickets, don't hesitate to give the office a call and we can take payment over the phone, or you can return these stubs from the raffle tickets that were enclosed in the latest newsletter. They're just £1 per ticket or £5 for a book of 5. Thank you to a couple of members who've come forward to try out the new 360 ball for long canes and also the new non-jab canes. Ruth, Eric and Liz are going to be trialling them out and writing a report for the January newsletter, so we look forward to see how they get on with these new canes. A huge thank you to all of our knitters. Our annual chocolate orange with the covers of Christmas trees, elves, Santas and all sorts will be available from next week for sale. They are available from Millbrook House. Again, you can give us a call and we can help you with that. And finally, delighted to report that the college lunch on the 29th of November is now full to capacity. Looking forward to seeing the members and volunteers alike for this annual Christmas dinner at the college. Thank you very much. Lisa, CEO Site for White and White Sense.
Here is this week's charity news, week commencing 15th of November. Swimming at Medina is on Monday between 1:15pm and 2pm. We have the whole pool, so whether you wish to swim lanes or just have gentle exercise in the pool, you will be made very welcome. The cost is £6 and transport is available, although limited.
Yoga at Millbrook House on Tuesday is between 1:45pm and 2:45pm. The cost is £4, including refreshments afterwards. Currently, there is a waiting list for this activity, so please call the office if you're interested in joining.
Coffee and Chat is on Wednesday, starting at 10am until 11:30am. The cost is £2 to include drinks and cake. Staff are on hand to help with any queries and to demonstrate equipment. We're also pleased to say we have the use of both large rooms downstairs, so if you prefer a quieter space, we now can accommodate you.
Thursday, our Mix and Mingle group will resume starting at 10:30. This group enjoys many activities, including craft, quizzes, singing and each other's company. There is currently a waiting list for this group, but do not hesitate to call the office to put your name down on the list.
On Friday, our monthly Striders group will be meeting at Millbrook House before travelling to the Blacksmith's Arms to walk a 6-mile circular route around Balcombe and Idlecombe. If you wish to join or would like more details, please do not hesitate to call the office.
Our next Living Well with Sight Loss course is next Friday at Millbrook House. This course is very informative and well worth attending. The course starts at 10am. For more information, please do not hesitate to call the office.
We now have our packs of 10 Christmas cards on sale for £3.50. This year we have a variety of designs on offer, so please call the office or pop into Millbrook House to purchase.
Diary and calendars are available to order as per the newsletter. Please make sure the office receives all orders as soon as possible.
Our annual raffle is now underway and hopefully everyone has received 2 books of tickets. There are more tickets at Millbrook if anyone wishes to purchase more, or are able to sell tickets to family members in support of our charity. We are also looking for good quality raffle prizes. If anyone knows a local business or company who may be able to donate a prize, please let Susan know.
Our monthly 100 Club has spare balls available. If anyone would like to buy a ball, it is £2 a month or £24 for the full year. The more balls in the draw, the higher the prize money each month. If you would like to take part in our monthly draw, please call the office. This is part of our fundraising activities.
If you are interested in joining any of the activities, please do not hesitate to call the office and speak to Susan for more information.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from Isle of Wight Radio, headlined, Council Leader labels Isle of Wight housing as number one priority. The leader of the Isle of Wight Council defended his administration's commitment to housing yesterday, describing it as the number one priority. Speaking to Watchdog Forum, the Corporate Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Phil Jordan said County Hall had put in place a number of measures demonstrating that it was the Council's prime concern. He told the meeting, "For a number of years in this administration, housing has been our number one priority. It's on the wall upstairs. The Chief Executive knows that. Getting the houses built is another challenge, as we're all hearing this evening." An 11-page report signed by Director of Adult Social Services Laura Gaudion and Cabinet Member for Housing and Finance Ian Stevens was presented to the committee, laying out the policies the Council has taken to deliver affordable and social housing. 6 strategic priorities were set out, including new housing supply, defining housing affordability through research, ensuring good quality private sector housing, and supporting housing associations and other partners to build new affordable housing. Measures also included reducing homelessness and rough sleeping through effective prevention work and ensuring specialist accommodation is available for vulnerable people. The document said, "This priority of new housing supply is about ensuring the right supply and mix of new homes is available, including increasing affordable housing delivery through the efficient use of land and capital resources, including those the Council owns or has control of." In 2023-24, over 900 new homes were granted planning permission, with 748 being on large sites of over 10 units that have a policy requirement to deliver 35% affordable housing. This equates to 262 affordable homes being permitted. In 2023-24, whilst there were only 19 affordable homes completed, a decrease on the previous 3 years, there were a further 38 starts on site of affordable homes. Councillor Jeff Brodie, the representative for Pan and Barton, said, "Affordable and social housing is one of the main reasons I stood for election to this council nearly 20 years ago. The performance of successive administrations over those 20 years has been very poor." Councillor Michael Lilly, the representative for Ryde, Apley and Elmfield, echoed Councillor Brodie's frustrations. "We've been going round the houses for the last 8 years since I've been a councillor, and probably before," he said. The presented council report's figures show 7.3% of homes built on the island in 2023-24 could be classed as affordable, compared to 18% in 2022-23, 23% in 2021-22, 28% in 2020-21, and 2% in 2019-2020.
This is Den reading an article from the Island Echo. Blue tongue virus discovered in cow throwing Isle of Wight into restriction zone. The Animal and Plant Health Agency has confirmed that a case of blue tongue virus has been identified on the Isle of Wight, and as a result, the island has been placed into a restriction zone. It was last Thursday that a case was identified and confirmed within a cow following a report of suspect clinical signs to the Animal and Plant Health Agency, APHA, AFA, and the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA. It has not been disclosed where this infected animal was located. As a result of the positive test, the Isle of Wight is now subject to strict conditions to help prevent the spread of the virus. It means that no animal can be taken off island and moved out of the restricted zone without permission, and no animal can be moved around the island if it is showing signs of the virus. However, animals can still be taken to slaughter, but they must be slaughtered within 24 hours of arrival. Any person who contravenes the restrictions shall commit a criminal offence and could face up to 3 months behind bars. The blue tongue virus affects sheep, cattle, deer, goats, llamas and alpacas, so will be of a worry to a variety of livestock owners on the Isle of Wight. Rarely, blue tongue can also affect dogs and other carnivores if they eat infected material, but it does not affect people or food safety. Island Echo understands that the APHA will be visiting the island between the 13th and the 20th of November. If you suspect blue tongue, you must report it immediately by calling 03 000 2 00301. Blue tongue is a notifiable disease. This means if you do not report it, you are breaking the law.
Isle of Wight dog controls could be reinstated to prevent antisocial behaviour. From the Isle of Wight radio, read by Lee. A clampdown on antisocial behaviour involving dogs could be reinstated by the Isle of Wight Council after a cabinet meeting coming up on Thursday. The Public Spaces Protection Orders, or PSPOs, include regulations relating to dog fouling, beaches, cemeteries, children's playgrounds, public highways, St Helens Dover and rights of way. Following a consultation attracting 1,098 online survey responses and 18 written submissions, the Cabinet is due to reach a decision at its Thursday meeting. The PSPOs currently under consideration have expired, with reinstatement being necessary to ensure continued enforcement. County Hall's report, signed by Natasha Diggs, Service Director for Waste, Environment and Planning, and Cabinet Member Laura P.C. Wilcox, recommended a reinstatement. The document said, the power to grant public space protection orders was given to local authorities in the Antisocial Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014. The PSPO provisions are designed to address antisocial behaviour and nuisance issues that are having or are likely to have a detrimental effect on the local community. Failure to implement the orders effectively may lead to the continuation of nuisance or antisocial behaviour. A consultation period between September the 9th, 2024 and October the 27th, 2024 has been implemented and results of the feedback analysed. Under County Hall's dog fouling order, people in charge of dogs must remove faeces from any public land. Relevant places include open spaces, parks and the highway network. 100% of consultation responses received by the Council were in support of the dog fouling PSPO. The Dogs on Beaches order excludes dogs from selected beaches from May the 1st and September the 30th. As well as deciding on approval, Cabinet members will consider adding a time element if, for example, dogs should be excluded between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. In total, 58% of consultees supported the beaches order compared to 42% who disagreed. The Dogs in Cemeteries order requires dogs on leads in island cemeteries. On this, 97% agreed, while 3% opposed it. A Dogs in Fenced Children's Playgrounds restriction bans dogs from fenced children's play areas. On this, 90% were in favour and 4% opposed it. The Dog Control on Public Highway order requires dogs to be on leads at all times when on roads, pavements and verges. On this, 96% supported the regulation and 4% were opposed. The St Helens Dover PSPO orders dogs to be kept on leads on parts of St Helens Dover revetment and car park between May the 1st and September the 30th. On this, 81% were in support and 19% opposed it. An order relating to the rights of way requires dogs to be on leads when passing through livestock. This received 98%, with 2% being opposed.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from the Island Echo with the headline Pharmacy First Plan Working with Scores of GP Appointments Freed Up. More than 100,000 people across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight have used services offered by community pharmacists since December 2023, which has freed up many GP appointments. Community pharmacies can now offer a number of different services, including free blood pressure checks for those over 40, free contraceptives following a consultation with a pharmacist without the need of a GP appointment, and they're seeing many patients with minor ailments who have been referred to them from their GP and NHS 111. The Pharmacy First scheme, which launched on the 31st of January 2024, also offers patients treatment for 7 common conditions directly from their local pharmacy, without the need for a GP appointment or prescription. Those 7 conditions are sinusitis, sore throat, earache in children, infected insect bites, impetigo, shingles, and uncomplicated urinary tract infections in women aged between 16 and 64. Pharmacy First enables community pharmacists to advise on how to manage a condition and supply prescription-only medicines without a prescription, including antibiotics and antivirals where clinically appropriate. Pharmacists are also trained to advise as to whether you need to see a GP, nurse or other healthcare professional if it is something more serious, to ensure you get the help you need. They are also trained to provide health and well-being advice. Neil Hardy, the Chief Pharmacist for NHS Hampshire and Isle of Wight, says, "Local community pharmacists are here to help and can provide you with expert advice on how to treat many common health conditions, such as sore throats and urinary tract infections. They can also give you advice regarding medications or direct you to the right service if you need further support." James Roach, Director of Primary Care for NHS Hampshire and Isle of Wight, adds, "Our community pharmacies are a vital first port of call for many ailments, and it's great to see so many people in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight using this brilliant service. This has also helped to free up more GP appointments for the people that need them."
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Wipeout, former Cowes public toilet site set to become cafe. A closed Cowes public toilet block on the edge of a car park could be converted into a cafe. Northwood House Charitable Trust has applied to the Isle of Wight Council to give the Park Road block, located within the historic Northwood House estate, a commercial use such as a cafe. The charity was forced to close the toilets as a result of repeated antisocial behaviour, according to a design and heritage statement prepared by LMA Heritage Consultancy Limited. Proposals submitted to the council allow for a refurbishment of the block, as well as additional doors and windows. A building has existed on the application site for nearly 200 years, the consultancy said. Previous structures on the site include one of 4 gatehouses to Northwood Park and a bathhouse. The document said, the proposals are to change the use of the redundant toilet block into a Class E use, such as a cafe, which would bring the property back into a more communal use, as well as bring in another income source for the house. The loss of its current use as a public toilet, on the evidence provided, can be weighed against its positive contribution as a Class E business, which would put more back into the community by providing local employment. Its location on a bus route, walking route to the High Street, proximity to Northwood House and its park, as well as being located off a car park, makes this an ideal location for this use. In a public comment published on the Isle of Wight Council's planning portal today, November the 11th, Churchill Road resident Joe Nash said, "I object strongly to the closed toilet block in Northwood House car park being turned into a refreshment service. It's disgusting that the toilets were closed. There should be a customer toilet for people after a car journey. I pushed my mother-in-law to the toilet block in Northwood in her wheelchair. Luckily, she can walk a little to use the facility. It's almost impossible to push her on the cheap gravel path repairs, and the toilet in the park is hundreds of metres from the car park. It's too far." Council Hall will close its public consultation on the application on December the 13th. A statutory decision is expected on January the 2nd next year.
Falcons fly again at Robin Hill from the Isle of Wight radio read by Lee. A stunning collection of birds of prey are taking flight once more at Robin Hill after new owner and CEO Lee Priddle came to the rescue of island company The Falconry Experience, who were facing an uncertain fate. Lee was following us on social media and saw that we were struggling to relocate to a suitable new location at the end of a long lease, explained Sam White, director of The Falconry Experience. We were over the moon when he offered us a home at Robin Hill. We thought there wasn't going to be a viable way forward for us as a company. The Falconry Experience and their 37 birds are now happily homed in the existing Falconry Centre at Robin Hill. We were so pleased to be able to step in and help, said Lee. These guys can now continue to do their great work with these amazing birds, not only providing free daily flying displays for our visitors, but also offering education and promoting conservation throughout the park. Charlotte Bell, co-director of the Falconry Experience, said, "Robin Hill is the most perfect location for our birds. This has been the light at the end of the tunnel after many challenges over the years. We cannot wait for the season to start and have big plans for 3 new exciting shows next year, so look out for our further announcements." If you can't wait to see these magnificent birds until the park opens in April 2025, the Falconry Experience are now providing private hands-on sessions at Robin Hill, which can be booked through their website.
Hello, this is an article from the Island Echo read by Sue. 650 plus local NHS staff took absence due to mental health struggles in 2023-2024. More than 650 members of staff at the Isle of Wight NHS Trust took at least one day off work last year due to their mental health, new data has revealed. Figures attained by legal expert found that Isle of Wight NHS Trust saw 658 staff members take absence in 2023-24 due to mental health reasons, representing a rising figure. In 2021-2022, the number of staff at the Trust who took a day off for mental health reasons stood at 495. A year later, this number increased to 573. The past year has seen another rise in staff absences due to mental health issues, standing at 658, a near 15% rise year on year. The news comes amidst growing pressures on the NHS as well as government funding cuts. Earlier this year, it was announced that government funding ended for a national network of mental health and wellbeing hubs that were established in 2020 to 2021 to support NHS frontline workers during the pandemic. These hubs served as a vital lifeline for a workforce in crisis, and closures across the support network have led to the number of staff absences due to mental health reasons rising year on year. Nationally, NHS England data shows that pressures inside the NHS have become so severe that the equivalent of a week off work was taken by every single one of the health service's 350,000 nurses last year due to stress, anxiety and depression. A spokesperson for the Isle of Wight NHS Trust has told Island Echo, "The well-being of our staff is very important to us, and this report does not give an accurate picture or comparison. During this period, Isle of Wight NHS Trust was the only integrated acute, ambulance and community, mental health and learning disability team in the country. Figures from other trusts were for their acute workforce. For our acute workforce, the number is notably less, an average of 408 people, or 15.5%. We are very proud of our team, and during this period they dealt with the impact of the pandemic as well as significant periods of change. Time taken off work for anxiety, stress and/or depression may not always be work-related and can be because of personal challenges including bereavement. We support our people to take the time required to recover, whether that is to support their mental or physical health needs. We have a number of assistance schemes and initiatives in place to support our staff, including a Care Ambassador programme, an Employee Assistance programme with access to counselling services and wellbeing support, a listening ear service, pastoral and chaplaincy support, as well as occupational health.
Hello everyone, this is Steve reading a story from the Island Echo, headlined White SAR to receive 2024 King's Award for Voluntary Service. Isle of Wight Search and Rescue, more commonly known as White SAR, has been named as a recipient of the King's Award for Voluntary Service, that's the KAVS, for 2024. The KAVS award is the equivalent of receiving an MBE and is the highest award a local voluntary group can receive in the UK. White SAR was set up in 2011 and now has grown to a team of 32 professional volunteers. The service is funded entirely by voluntary donations and grant awards. Dean Terrett, BEM, the founder of White SAR and its chairman, has said, "This has been achieved through the dedication of White SAR's volunteers. This award marks a milestone in excellence and recognition for the team's work. As you can imagine, the team are elated to receive such recognition. We would like to take the opportunity to thank the Isle of Wight community for their continued support." Another island charity has been named as a recipient of the King's Award, the South Wight Area Youth Partnership, that's SWAY. SWAY volunteers work tirelessly to support young people in the south of the Isle of Wight. Volunteers mentor children in schools, run regular activities and clubs each week, work with families in schools, and lead a variety of expeditions and camps at weekends and school holidays, including a week-long visit to the Lake District. The group has raised more than £600,000 to build a community hub in Chale, which is expected to open next April. The Lord Lieutenant of the Isle of Wight, Susie Sheldon, said, "The amount of voluntary work carried out on the island never ceases to amaze me. We have over 1,500 voluntary and community organisations, and I'm delighted that another two of our wonderful groups have been recognised with this award."
This is Den reading an article from the Island Echo. Newport teen admits dangerous driving and perverting the course of justice. 18-year-old Owen Chambers, who has admitted causing serious injury to a child during a road traffic collision on the outskirts of Whitwell back in February, has been warned that he is likely to receive a custodial sentence when he next appears before a judge in January. It was on the 25th of February at just gone 16:40 that emergency services were called to a crash between a VW Golf and a Mini One on the main Whitwell to Ventnor Road, as previously reported by Island Echo. A young boy aged 12 who was a passenger in the Golf was taken to St Mary's Hospital and later transferred to Southampton General Hospital with serious injuries, including a haematoma and serious bruising. Chambers of Mountbatten Drive in Newport appeared before His Honour Judge Ashworth KC and admitted causing serious injury by dangerous driving, perverting the course of justice, driving without insurance, failing to stop, and driving without an MOT. It took Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary several months to secure the charges, due to the fact that Chambers denied being the driver of the vehicle, stating that his passenger was behind the wheel. The case has now been adjourned so that a pre-sentence report can be compiled. Chambers has been handed an interim driving ban until his sentencing hearing on the 17th of January. Judge Ashworth told Chambers that he should be under no illusion that he will most likely be getting a custodial sentence when he is sentenced in the new year.
Brading residents set for tax increase to keep everything running. From the Isle of Wight radio read by Lee. Residents of an Isle of Wight town will have to pay more for services to help to keep everything running, a mayor said yesterday. Mayor Christine Johnson said Brading Town Council expected to get less from County Hall this year, so something had to be done and the precept would go up. She told a meeting at the new town hall yesterday evening, "We haven't raised a precept for some years. I know it's a very bad year. I'm sorry, it'll have to go up, but there's not a lot we can do about it if you want the services here to run properly." Services Brading Town Council is responsible for include allotments, the management of Beech Grove Play Area, Bullies Hill Quarry, Butterfly Walk, the Brading Station and Visitor Centre, and the awarding of grants according to its website. The authority is also in charge of public toilets in the town's car park and specific street furniture such as bins, benches and notice boards. Town Clerk Sue Harbour said, when the budget was proposed last year for this year, it worked out on a tax base of 781.10. But shortly after that was calculated and submitted to the Isle of Wight Council, a letter came in with confirmation that the final tax base was 777.90. So there was a reduction of 5.2 on the previous year. It does put the precept up to a maximum of 2%. Brading Town Council's tax base for 2023 to 24 was 783.10.
Northwood House set for significant facility upgrade from Isle of Wight Radio. A 19th century stately home and popular Isle of Wight events venue could have facilities upgraded as part of a proposed renovation. Northwood House Charitable Trust has applied for listed building consent to enhance Northwood House's catering and toilet facilities, currently described as poor in a design and heritage statement prepared by LMA Heritage Consulting Limited. The house is listed at Grade 2 due to its interior architectural interest, according to public body Historic England. Grade 2 listings denote particularly important buildings of more than special interest, which make up around 5.8% of all listed buildings. LMA Heritage Consulting Limited's document said, "The house has had a colourful history and was a long-lasting legacy of the Ward family from the late 18th to the early 20th century. It has been a house of well-known luxury and decadence to a boys' school, a party house, nunnery, Red Cross hospital and municipality offices. The house, given to the town of Cowes in 1928, has very high communal significance. As a place of marriages and celebrations, local events and council meetings, its position within the town and the wider area of the island is an important one, and one of the only large country houses on the island that is still so heavily invested in its community. Northwood House Charitable Trust's proposals include converting the house's hot kitchen into gents' toilets, the enlarging of the ladies' toilets, new doors from a hallway off the Egypt Corner lobby, new corridor stores, a kitchen renovation, and a roof extraction system. Also included in the charity's plans are new rainwater drainage systems on an external wall. In an official list entry for Northwood House Historic England said, "The interior contains decorations in the Egyptian or Etruscan mode, including a ballroom with ceiling with 24 painted roundels of ancient and medieval playwrights, philosophers, poets and orators. A drawing room decorated with painted swags and birds, a circular dome with Etruscan-style painted ceiling, a staircase with 2 iron balusters to each step, and Egypt Corner, a lobby having 4 columns with lotus capitals supporting an entablature with painted snake emblems, eagles, and pseudo-Egyptian hieroglyphics, and 3 door surrounds with similar decorations. The Council's public consultation on Northwood House Charitable Trust's application finishes on November the 29th, and a statutory decision is expected on December the 17th.
Sandown Hotel could be transformed into flats from the Island Echo. Part of a family-run Isle of Wight hotel could be transformed into 3 flats. Lorraine Barrett applied to the Isle of Wight Council to convert the bar area and 8 hotel bedrooms of the Lauren Hotel at 90 Sandown Road Lake into self-contained residential units to be let on the island's private rental market. In a design and access statement written on behalf of Mrs. Barrett, Agent Company Trade Plans said, "The Lauren Hotel fits into a niche area of tourism. It only caters for school parties in normal times and only operates for 4 months of the year. The business is not viable at this time with booking numbers down, but cannot be marketed as it is the only income stream the owner has and also serves as their main dwelling. The owner is looking to take a more diverse approach to the site, taking into account the changing economy, and is looking to reduce the numbers of school children that it caters for, but to still operate on a 4-month basis. The proposal will convert some communal space serving as the bar area and 8 of the hotel's 16 bedrooms into self-contained dwellings. These dwellings will be available to the rental market and additional income derived from them to make up the shortfall from the reduced occupancy of the hotel. The document added rental income would assist the upkeep of remaining hotel accommodation and enable a major refurbishment."
Hello there, this is Madeline,
And this is John.
and we're reading the second part of the Talking News.
Isle of Wight Council silence over legal threats. The Isle of Wight Council is not commenting on a threat of legal action made by another local authority. Thurrock Council, which went bust due to disastrous solar farm investments made between 2017 and 2020, is trying to recover vast sums of public money lost as part of the deals. It is in dispute with the Association for Public Service Excellence, APSE, the organisation that valued the solar farms. Last week, Thurrock issued a statement claiming APSE's valuations were negligent and overvalued. APS has always denied the claims. To recuperate some of the cash, Thurrock is threatening to sue 23 councils, which form part of APS, according to the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. The Isle of Wight Council and Southampton City Council are among those listed. Southampton City Council told the Local Democracy Reporting Service it does not believe there is any valid cause of action. The Isle of Wight Council told the county press it would not be commenting at this stage. Thurrock Council said APS had not properly engaged in the dispute and it may need to preserve its claim by issuing another. In response, APS said it is highly disingenuous to suggest it has not gone to great lengths to engage in dispute resolution.
Preschool lockdown man on trial. A man accused of causing a preschool lockdown with violence against a member of staff will also stand trial for harassing his estranged wife in May next year. Edward Myatt of St Margaret's Glade, Ventnor, denied causing his estranged wife harassment without violence between February the 28th and April the 22nd. He appeared at the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Tuesday, November the 5th. His charge has been tied in with other accusations of common assault on a member of preschool staff and a public order offence at the St Francis Primary Academy site, Ventnor, on March the 12th. The not guilty pleas were made in July. The 40-year-old was bailed to reappear for trial on May the 20th next year.
Remembrance for War's Horse Heroes. Some 65 horses gathered at Haven Street Memorial Shrine on Remembrance Sunday to commemorate the millions of war horses killed in action in both World Wars and other conflicts. Organised by local equestrian enthusiast Kirsty Newnham, the event united the community to honour these often unsung wartime heroes. The ceremony raised £560 for the Poppy Appeal, together with £126 for the War Horse Memorial. Held at Copped Hall Farm, landowner Alan George provided the space for the memorial shrine. Several island businesses, including Solent Cruises and Woodford's Butchers of Bembridge, sponsored the event. Horses and their riders stood together to remember the war horses who faced harsh conditions alongside their human companions, particularly during the First World War. There was unity and respect shared between the horses and their riders on the day, said Kirsty. It's incredibly moving to see so many come together to remember not only the soldiers, but also the animals who served with them, she added. They were heroes in their own right, and it's important to keep their memory alive.
Drug driver's bright yellow car landing him in trouble. A drug driver was told by his solicitor to get rid of his distinctive bright yellow car after being caught over the limit twice in less than 3 months. Christian Venn of Bennett Street in Ryde attended the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court for sentencing on Friday, November the 8th. The 44-year-old had previously pleaded guilty to 3 counts of drug driving, failing to provide a specimen for analysis and possession of a Class B drug, namely cannabis. Lauren McConnell, prosecuting, said police were on routine patrol on Kite Hill in Wootton at mid-afternoon on March the 1st, when they spotted a bright yellow Ford Focus ST on their system as having no tax or MOT. Ms McConnell told the court Venn was behind the wheel and provided a positive roadside drug wipe test for cannabis and cocaine. A further blood test confirmed that Venn was over the limit for BZE, cannabis and cocaine. Ms Connell told magistrates that the next set of offences on May the 28th were committed before the police blood sample returned, so Venn had not yet been charged. Venn was stopped by police and provided a positive test again, but at the police station refused to provide a blood specimen, said Miss McConnell, who added that a small amount of cannabis was found inside the car. Barry Keel, defending, said his client uses cannabis for palliative reasons, to help him cope with mental health problems. The reason for the original traffic stop was due to the test running out on Venn's vehicle and nothing to do with his driving, Mr Keel told magistrates. Mr Keel said, "I told my client that when you are driving a bright yellow vehicle, you stand out and make yourself a target. The vehicle is up for sale, which should help him get rid of such a distinctive vehicle," he added. Mr Keel told the court that Venn no longer takes Class A drugs, and he intends he intends to stop taking cannabis. Venn was banned from driving for 2 years and handed an 18-month community order, £400 costs, £120 fine and £114 surcharge.
Landslip Houses New Owner Unfazed by Risk by Oliver Dyer. If it falls down the cliff in the next 10 years, that's fine. I've had a good 10 years mortgage free. The new owner of a property, mere meters from a landslip site, said, describing the purchase as a no-brainer. Tina Virch, 33, who was born and raised on the island, was left smiling from ear to ear after winning the auction for the building on Leeson Road, Bonchurch. She said the fact it is situated on the edge of a landslip zone and is just 2 doors down from another property which lost half its garden does not faze her. I've done a lot of research into this, geographical reports and investigations, she said. It's a great opportunity. I'm known for taking risks, and it's not something that will deter me. The landslip in December 2023 was described as one of the largest of its kind on the south coast of England. It led to the evacuation of properties and the closure of Leeson Road. Tina said her new house is classed as being in Watching Zone A, an area to the west of the landslide to be kept under observation. With it being so close, the 3-bedroom semi-detached property was initially listed with a guide price of just £10. After seeing the price, Tina thought, I've got to do this, and came to the decision to spend no more than £60,000. The auction on October 31st attracted a total of 416 bids. After an hour and a half, the property was sold to a delighted Tina for £48,590. Considering the property was listed in 2016 for over £200,000, for me it's a worthwhile investment, she said. For somebody like me in this current climate, in the cost of living crisis, it's unheard of to get a house for that money. It means Tina, who lives in Poole and has her own roofing insulation business, Clean Safe Insulation, can now move back to the place she loves with partner Guy Fee and daughter Sienna. The family get the keys to their new home next week. Tina will also have a small office space on site, which will be the hub for the new island branch of her business. As well as decorating the inside of the property, the family plan to strip the garden, replace the conservatory with composite decking, and add a 6-metre wide pergola. We're going to stay there for as long as we can, she said. The adjoining property has also been sold at auction for £29,690.
Major clothing retailer returning to town centre. A major clothing retailer is making a return to a town centre on the same street it exited around 3 years ago. The county press has been told Peacocks, which closed its branch in South Street, Newport in 2021, is coming back to the town, albeit in a different premises. Previously, the shop was based in a unit in the South Street retail building, which is now occupied by Sports Direct. Fast forward a few years, it's understood it will open on the other side of the road in the former Iceland building. Peacocks in Newport shut its doors in April 2021 during the COVID pandemic. At the time, a Facebook post from staff said, "We would love to say a huge thank you to all staff, past and present, and to all our customers that have been through the doors. It's been a fantastic ride." Although an exact opening date for Peacock's Newport return is not yet known, renovation works are currently ongoing. The building has been empty since Iceland shut last March. Peacocks also has stores in Ryde and Shanklin.
Bus driver turns away bike girl 6 by Oliver Dyer. Southern Vectis has said it will investigate an incident which saw a tired 6-year-old girl denied entry to a bus, allegedly because her bicycle had gears. Shana Freer, mother of Maggie Wesolowska, said she was left shocked when the driver of the number 38 bus told them they could not get on the afternoon of Monday, November the 4th. Typically, the pair, who live in Newport, usually drive to school in the morning, but the car had broken down, so Maggie cycled and her mum walked beside her. While Maggie was at school, Shana went off to do some shopping. They planned to get home the same way they arrived, but the shopping was heavy and Maggie was tired, so they thought they'd catch the 3:52 p.m. bus on Carisbrook Road to a stop near Argos. Conscious of taking up too much room on board, Shana let the busy-looking number 7 bus go past, instead opting to wait for the usually much quieter number 38. As the bus approached, Shana said she could see the driver shaking her head. It stopped, and the driver said, "The bike's not coming on," Shana said. I said, "Sorry," and she said, "The bike can't come on as it has gears." I said, "It is only a little bike." She said, "No, sorry, because it has gears, it can't come on the bus," and she just drove off. In a message to Southern Vectis on Facebook, she asked if children's bikes can usually come on. The reply, seen by the county press, said bicycles aren't usually allowed due to their size. However, a smaller child's bicycle would be fine. Ultimately, it would be down to the driver's discretion, the message said. In a statement, the bus company said it is sorry for the pair's experience. Richard Tilsley, Southern Vectis General Manager, said, "Bicycles are not generally permitted on board, as there is usually no safe space to store them. There are some exceptions, including folding bikes, which are safely and securely stowed in the designated luggage area in a suitable bag or box. Our drivers do have some discretion when they feel a bicycle could be carried on board, and we will be carrying out an investigation to review this particular situation."
Historic thatched pub set for major refurbishment. The owners of a historic Isle of Wight pub have gained listed building and planning consent to develop its garden and begin refurbishment works. Pub and brewing company Green King applied to County Hall to enhance the Crab Inn's outdoor space with a covered pergola, glass balustrade and festoon lighting, and carry out changes to the pub's interior. The Grade 2 listed pub in Shanklin, described by the American poet Henry Longfellow as a lovely little thatched-roofed inn and extremely desirable, dates back to the 18th century, according to historic environmental public body Historic England. The company's agent, Interior Designer, Design Management Partnership Limited, said in a statement, "In keeping with current trends, the client wishes to develop the outdoor space to provide covered outdoor seating for its clientele that can be utilised year-round. Outdoor seating is highly desirable for the hospitality industry post-2020. There has been a general move towards customers gravitating to outdoor spaces, following the shift towards social distancing with perception of safety, and this has become easier to achieve with much improved comfort and technology in supply and manufacture of good quality outdoor furniture and fittings. When carefully designed and specified, outdoor furniture can add significantly to an improved experience for customers. Internal changes include a complete refurbishment of the toilets and putting in an accessible platform lift, extra dining seating, and an enlarged bar servery. Greene King also applied to upgrade the interior floor and wall finishes to create an inviting drinking and dining experience for both tourists and locals. In an officer-written justification report, the council said concerns were raised over the use of a glass balustrade as the material was considered to be out of character with the architectural and historic significance of the area. Following discussion, this was revised to a black metal railing, which was considered to be more appropriate to the setting of the listed building and to the character and appearance of the conservation area. Conditions attached to the council's approval are that development is begun within 3 years from permission being granted. Submitted plans are followed and a fully detailed soft landscape scheme is approved by County Hall.
Holly safely home after underground adventure by Oliver Dyer. A dog has been rescued and reunited with her owners after spending hours trapped in an underground drain tunnel. Holly went missing at 3 p.m. on Sunday, November 11th, prompting her owners to alert volunteer rescue team Drone SAR for Lost Dogs, Isle of Wight. Having assembled ground searchers and a thermal drone pilot, the group was told Holly was last seen entering a culvert in her garden. It was assumed she had exited the other end, but on inspection the tunnel was found to be blocked. Attempts were made to search the tunnel, ground searches were carried out and a thermal drone was put up, but Holly could not be found. Researchers were also joined by Simon Ledger from Tracker Dog and Jamie Webster from island firm Reno Drain. Working on a hunch she was still in the culvert, Jamie Webster sent in his camera, but soon realised he was going to have to go in himself. After getting around 30 metres in, Jamie caught a glimpse of Holly's eyes, much to his relief. He started calling her and she came down the tunnel to him, the group said. Jamie then crawled backwards with her all the way out, where they were met by some of the ground searchers. She was taken straight into the house to be checked over, dried off and warmed up. The group said, "We can't thank Jamie from Reno Drain enough. He is an absolute superstar. If it wasn't for him joining our search, we wouldn't have got her out. Great team effort all round. So happy that Holly was found as quickly as she was, and now safely tucked up at home and getting some rest after her adventure." Olympic tidal pool plan taking shape, not by Oliver Dyer. Plans for a new sea pool at Yaverland seafront have moved a step closer with the launch of a fundraising appeal. Community interest company Swim the Wight wants to create a wave-shaped Olympic-size pool. The accessible and free-to-use facility would be the first tidal pool to be built in the UK in a decade, the group said. It would be constructed within the Sandown Bay sea defences, which are due to be fixed by the Environment Agency. Swim the Wight said it needs to raise £50,000 by early 2025 to go towards securing professional reports on environmental impacts, design and engineering options. A new company, Isle of Wight Sea Pool Limited, has also been launched, along with a website. A spokesperson said, A huge amount of work has taken place behind the scenes on this project so far, all by talented volunteers passionate about making this project happen. Every donation made, big or small, will go towards the feasibility study needed by the authorities to show our pool will withstand the tests of time, integrate sustainably within the sea defences, and support the marine environment. Given agreement and funding is secured, the group aims to apply for planning permission in 2026.
Sunday opening for Inclusive Children's Play Park. A new inclusive, accessible children's play park is set to open this weekend. God's Hill resident Nikki Collinson Phoenix came up with the idea in 2015. The project was born following a heartbreaking conversation she had with a mum who mentioned how challenging she found taking her child, who was in a wheelchair, to a playground. Fueled by a stubborn determination, Nikki took on the project with the mantra, "Fun for all." Permission to build the park at Central Mead in God's Hill was eventually granted in June 2021. Money was secured thanks to island businesses and anonymous donors. It's been a very challenging 9 years to get to this point, and to say we are excited is an understatement, said Nikki. We will forever be indebted to the incredible anonymous donors whose humbling kindness and generosity has enabled this project to go from a dream to a reality. Giving the island its first public wheelchair swing is massive, and it's been a long time coming. I hope our park inspires others to seek to make all the play parks on the island as accessible and as inclusive as possible. The park will open at 11 a.m. on Sunday.
Builder over the drink drive limit fled crash scene by court reporter. A builder who crashed his Ford Focus into a Volkswagen Caddy van, fled and feigned shock to police, has been sentenced. Michael Knight of East Cowes Road, East Cowes, crashed into a telegraph pole and then the parked van on March the 2nd. Knight, who was found to be over the drink and drug drive limits and without insurance, fled the scene in East Cowes Road and went straight home. At an earlier hearing, he admitted to failing to stop after an accident, drug driving, drink driving and driving without insurance. He appeared at Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on November 1st for sentencing. Giles Fletcher, prosecuting, said witnesses heard a loud screech and saw the Ford collide with the telegraph pole before crashing into the van, causing major front-end damage. 2 males were reportedly seen fleeing the scene. When police arrived at Knight's house, he feigned shock and denied involvement in the crash. However, householders told police he had been out driving. Knight, 32, was arrested and later admitted to being the driver, telling officers he ran away and initially denied involvement and blamed another person for the crash because he was worried and scared. Following his arrest, Knight provided a drink-drive blood sample, which showed he was over the limit. He was also found to be more than 3 times the drug drive limit for cocaine metabolite BZE. Knight was subject to a community order at the time of the crash, which he had not engaged well with. He had caused significant damage in the crash, but fortunately no one was caused serious injury, Mr. Fletcher commented. Knight has a record of 17 convictions for 22 offences, including drink driving in 2009 and 2011, and taking a vehicle without consent last year. Oscar Vincent, defending, said Knight accepted his wrongdoing and wished to apologise to the van's owner. Mr. Vincent explained, when he ran away from the scene, it was because he panicked, but soon thought better of it. Presiding Magistrate David Wilson told Knight his driving standards were at an unacceptable level. He was handed an 8-week jail sentence, suspended for 18 months, with a 30-month driving ban, £85 costs, and a £154 surcharge.
Digital Church Initiative, a first. A digital storytelling initiative at an ancient church has been launched, the first of its kind on the Isle of Wight. The project, entitled Spreading the Word About Marmite St Wilfrid and Other Brading Residents, is based at St Mary the Virgin Church in Brading. The initiative, funded by the National Heritage Lottery to the tune of £10,000, aims to explore the church's history and heritage and tells the stories of significant characters. The funding has enabled the church to purchase 21st century InfoPoint technology to achieve that. This technology allows digital storytelling through guided tours, audio clips, recorded chanting, plain song, texts and puzzles, all accessible via an app. At the launch event, Isle of Wight East MP Joe Robertson suggested the project could foster collaboration with nearby attractions like Brading Roman Villa. He said this could, in turn, boost the local economy. Councillor Christine Johnson, the Mayor of Brading, expressed her pride in the community and its heritage. She hopes the project will attract many more visitors. The Reverend James Cook, Associate Area Dean for the Isle of Wight, blessed the project.
Isle of Wight Festival shortlisted for awards. The Isle of Wight Festival has been shortlisted for 2 more awards. The event has been nominated for 2 UK Festival Awards in the Best Festival Production and Best Large Festival categories. The ceremony will be held at Document in Bristol on Tuesday, December the 3rd. A panel of judges will collectively determine the winner of both awards. Meanwhile, the Isle of Wight Festival and Strings have been nominated for categories at the Live Awards. The festival has been shortlisted for Major Festival of the Year, while Strings Bar and Venue in Newport is up for the Grassroots Champion Award. The ceremony will take place on Wednesday, December 11th at Troxy in London.
New life for steam loco. A historic steam locomotive is set to leave the Isle of Wight for a new life in the Midlands. The 1918 Barclay 060T locomotive Ajax, which has spent more than 50 years on the Isle of Wight, is leaving the Isle of Wight Steam Railway to join the Northampton and Lamport Railway. Having been a working locomotive in the past, Ajax has more recently been a feature of the Train Story Rail Discovery Centre. The Isle of Wight Steam Railway, which has a collection of 13 steam locomotives, decided to seek a new home for Ajax as it was surplus to requirements and would be better suited to operational use elsewhere. Peter Taylor, Chair, said, "We're delighted to have found a new home for Ajax, where she will be returned to steam and will operate in service again for people's enjoyment." Ajax, after being withdrawn from industrial service in 1968, was brought by Henry Frampton Jones and loaned to the IWSR in 1972. After a full overhaul, it was back in service until 2014, when it was withdrawn again and subsequently placed on display in Train Story.
Pool solar panels to cut costs. Solar panels will be fitted on the roof of a popular Ryde public swimming pool as part of works approved by the Isle of Wight Council. The Waterside Community Trust applied to the council to carry out a refurbishment and alteration project at Waterside Pool, including energy-saving measures to reduce the pool's carbon emissions and running costs. In addition to solar panels being installed on the pool's southern building roof, the facility will get a new heat exchanger plant to better meet its energy needs, with enhanced efficiency and heat recovery. A heat exchanger is a device which transfers heat from one medium to another. In a design, access and ecology statement prepared on behalf of the applicant, Construction and Property Consultants ERMC said, whilst the Waterside Pool building does not have listed status, it is situated within the Esplanade Conservation Area. There are no elements of historic interest remaining in the building itself, and therefore no need for these to be preserved or restored. The running costs of a publicly accessible swimming pool are considerable. The recent over-inflationary uplift in energy costs dictate that the trustees seek to mitigate these costs as much as possible for the facility to remain financially viable. The need for the panels is therefore highly justified and should be given more weight than any perceived visually detrimental effect on the conservation area. Other works involve replacing part of the main building's roof with a flat roof to improve the junction between the current, originally changing rooms, and a subsequently added roof glazing system, and a small extension to the pool's heat exchanger plant room to enable the fitting of a new plant. County Hall approved Waterside Community Trust's application on the basis that it would improve the use of the site for the benefit of tourism and leisure in the area. The Council's Officer Written Justification report concluded, on balance, the solar panels would not have a negative effect on the Ryde Conservation Area. Efficiency gains from the panels and the report's view that tourism and leisure form part of the area's character were also given as reasons to support the application. Proposed works were not considered to result in any increase to flood risk or risk to life at the pool. Two conditions attached to the Council's approval are that development is started within 3 years of permission being granted and submitted plans are followed. Ryde Town Council made no objection to the proposals.
New powers welcomed. Council leader Phil Jordan has welcomed new council powers designed to deal with empty commercial properties in town centres. Local authorities are to be given new powers to revitalise high streets by transforming long-term vacant shops into active commercial spaces. The High Street Rental Auctions initiative allows local councils to auction leases for properties that have been empty for over a year within a 2-year span. This move aims to curb absentee landlords and reinvigorate town centres by offering right-to-rent opportunities for businesses and community groups. The government believes this will create jobs and increase trade by bringing business back into town centres. Councillor Jordan said, "These new powers are innovative and very helpful in helping us address empty shops in our high streets. I welcome the new approach and positive attempts to help our high streets become attractive and vibrant areas that encourage people to visit. For too long there has been declining footfall in island high streets, and whilst having fewer or no empty shops is only part of the wider retail problem, it is nonetheless an important factor. I am encouraged and motivated to make good use of these new powers and believe they will make a difference to our high streets.
We now have white memories and nostalgia. Days gone by. 125 years ago, in November 1899, the Royal Governor of the Isle of Wight, Princess Henry of Battenberg, consented to a meeting to discuss setting up a fund for the relief of wives and families of those serving in the Transvaal War. Although unable to attend, the Princess expressed her support for the meeting and donated £10 to the fund. Railway engine driver H. Smart was praised for his bravery when he continued to drive his train to Newport despite an accident which left him in such pain that he almost fainted. Not wanting to cause inconvenience to his passengers or create a backlog of traffic, Mr. Smart continued on his journey. At a meeting of the Mutual Improvement Society, E.J. Upward gave his views on the upcoming new century. He predicted that with better education, the people would not rely on political parties, but on principles, and that the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man would be taught and practiced. He prophesied that public ownership would be substituted for private monopoly, and education would provide increased facilities for the advancement of all children. 75 years ago, in November 1949, Newport man Mr. B.H.M. Cook was a passenger on the British Overseas Aircraft Corporation's new Canadair airliner, which made a record trip from Hong Kong to London. The 10,000-mile journey took 2 days.
100 years ago, in November 1924, a 76-year-old woman fell to her death from her home on Pyle Street. A man was working on the downstairs window of the property, and it appeared that Anne Witham had leant out of the window to see what he was doing when she lost her balance and fell. The growth of skilled handicrafts among women, largely attributed to wartime needs, was on show at the Industrial Exhibition of Arts and Crafts at Ryde Town Hall. 50 years ago, in November 1974, passengers aboard 2 cross-Solent ferries watched the dramatic rescue of 2 men whose small dinghy overturned. Michael Mansell and Anthony Salmon from the Ryde area were spotted in the sea by the crew of the Portsmouth Fishbourne car ferry Caedmon. A Carisbrooke doctor who delivered 3,000 babies in his 39 years on the island retired, aged 73. Dr. Aubrey Heathcote was presented with an engraved clock, cheque and illuminated scroll after 270 patients, past and present, responded to an advert in the county press and made donations. And for the first time, 1 million passengers used the British Rail Sea Link car ferry route between Lymington and Yarmouth in a year.
Post-war Weird and Wonderful Goings-On by Alan Stroud. In the early 1950s, Britain was still shaking off the gloom of war, and the editor of the county press was spoiled for weird and wonderful stories that captured the mood of the nation. For example, on January 28, 1950, under the headline "Peculiar Finds in Trees," the county press reported, an 8-inch nail was found in the middle of an elm tree cut down at Calbourne. Staff at Morris, who felled the tree, said that although at least 200 years of growth surrounded the nail, the discovery was not unusual. They once found a 3-foot length of steel chain inside a tree trunk, and other items swallowed by trees include glass beads and a pair of scissors. Occasionally, in the heart of a tree, they come across something far more strange, a hollow space occupied by a large grub or caterpillar still alive. How it survives under centuries of growth in a cavity without any opening is a mystery, similar to that of live frogs or toads, which are sometimes found embedded in solid blocks of chalk. A frog locked in the chalk, eh? Well, a few weeks later, on March 18th, 1950, the county press ran this letter. Sir, many years ago, a piece of chalk weighing 1/2 ton was broken up at Gatcombe. In the centre was a small frog, which made several slight movements after liberation. Nothing is known as to what happened to it afterwards. Verified by Charles Cheverton of Gatcombe Hill Farm Cottages, who saw this amazing occurrence. Really? Well, it's no less credible than swallowing spiders. The county press reported the recently published folklore survey of the Isle of Wight says there are still people on the island who can remember when raw cat's flesh was regarded as a certain cure for asthma, and the swallowing of a spider was a remedy for those suffering from ague. Moving swiftly on, some oddities were actually based on reality. In autumn 1950, the county press reported, when collecting eggs at Kingate's Dairy, Whitwell, last week, Mrs. G.A. Milmore found a grass snake a yard long, curled up under a broody hen, which was sitting on 3 eggs. It was adders concentrating mines the following week. Mrs. E. Dark was bitten by an adder on Tuesday. She went for a walk across the warren and was sitting down for a rest when an adder bit her in the left forearm. She applied a tourniquet above the wound and walked to Totland in search of a doctor, who treated her with anti-venom serum. When the tourniquet was removed, Mrs. Dark suffered rather badly and later became delirious, but on Wednesday morning she was making a good recovery, although still in great pain. In the spring of 1951, Mr. Sheath of Newport wrote, I have a piece of wood which has a unique though rather morbid history. It is one of the original black shutters used by the late firm of Edwin Way, corn merchants of Newport. It bears a list of 111 persons for whose funerals it was displayed, including Prince Henry of Battenberg and well-known local business and professional figures. 2 rather amusing entries are Our Cat and Our Blackbird. Mr. A.G. Cole of Yarmouth, meanwhile, had some information about Isle of Wight cheese. I have mislaid a poem I used to have about Isle of Wight cheese, which was always of a very hard variety. The verses were about a woman who stored the cheeses she had made in an oak chest. The rats snored through the chest with ease, but they could not bite the cheese. Arthur Williams of Gatcombe had pies on his mind. Your correspondent, Margaret Mellish, wants to know where she can get Isle of Wight mutton pies. Alas, they are no more, but I can remember the joke about the noted pie shop in Newport, where a cat was never known to pass. Also, the skim milk cheese we used to cut with hatchets, and Newport doughnuts at a halfpenny each, which would make you bilious.
And now for a Vector's View from Joanna Richards, who is the chairman of Sway Trustees. The charity South Wight Area Youth Partnership, or SWAY, has this week received news of a great reason to celebrate. The Youth, Family and Community charity has received a huge accolade through the award of the prestigious King's Award for Voluntary Service, announced on the King's birthday. This award acknowledges that the tremendous youth work and support for families that the SWAY team deliver, but could not be achieved without the invaluable volunteers. These volunteers are vital for the youth groups in the villages and in Ventnor, as well as the mentoring in schools and a huge range of activities and events. The choice of activities both off and on and off the island offer opportunities from ice skating and night hikes to social meal evenings, crabbing and trips to warships. Sway also offers residential breaks with the Easter holidays weekend at Corfe and a 5-day trip to either the Lake District or Brecon Beacons in the summer. Holiday activities provide for the out-of-school times, whilst Zoom cooking online with families, help to put fun into the dark nights of the winter months. Volunteers alongside members of staff are integral to all of Sway's work. Sway seeks to support young people in the rural area of South Wight to encourage confidence, independence and social integration. The work includes supporting the families of these young people who may have been identified as being in need in a variety of ways. Sway gives opportunities for vulnerable and socially isolated higher-end primary school children to explore their difficulties with social situations by providing opportunities to come and work together to develop their confidence. The charity also encourages young people and their families to volunteer in their community, to find local interests and engage with their environment. The Young Leaders Project offers a structure to build on for those who wish to learn skills that can help them to engage and offer their time in a wider context. Volunteers have a range of life experience that enables them to nurture the young people in a gentle and appreciative way that develops healthy relationships. This week, being Children in Need, means Sway can recognise the role it plays in the lives of children and young people, and the vital way in which these youngsters get the support they need. Without the contact and care of Sway, a number of the young people and families would be left to fend for themselves. Over the past few years, Sway has been developing the idea for a multi-purpose building, a community hub for the South Wight. This is due to be completed in 2025. It will offer a multi-purpose space that may be hired for activities and meetings, as well as scope for hospitality training, a cafe and top-up shop. There will be an office for Sway and a confidential meeting room for other organisations to offer surgeries. An exciting time for the charity and South Wight. Sway has a double reason to celebrate this week. Sway was set up 10 years ago, an event to say a big thank you to volunteers, supporters and staff is being held this weekend, at which a slideshow will be shown following the journey of the charity from its small beginnings of wanting to continue the youth service through to today with the range and scope that the current Sway offers. The work of the trustees has been at the core of the success of Sway. The King's Award is great timing to celebrate all the effort that has gone into Sway and to look forward to the next 10 years.
My view, opinion by Imogen Chew. School uncertainty is cause for anxiety. Since having a son in April, I've started to understand more fully some of the issues I've heard parents complain about throughout the years. Unsolicited advice from strangers in the supermarket, distant relatives that are overly affectionate despite having a sniffle, and of course school places. I wasn't able to enrol him in our preschool of choice for when he turns 2, as they were full, and in fairness, the pregnant mums looking around at the same time we were visiting with a 4-month-old should have counted as a warning that we were a little late in signing up. I was surprised at how much it bothered me. It's not that other preschools in the area are not up to scratch, or that I believe he will get a significantly higher level of care at my chosen spot, but it is where my siblings and I went as youngsters, and is simply where I imagined my children would go. It's what I'd pictured and planned for. I therefore cannot imagine what it feels like to be one of the hundreds of parents across the island at the moment who are unable to plan or picture where their children will be attending school next year. As you probably already know, 6 schools have been earmarked for closure on the island: Cowes, Arreton, Oakfield, Brading, Wroxall and Godshill. The council is currently consulting on a recommendation to close the schools in a bid to improve education results on the island and tackle the high number of surplus school places. It is likely that any closure will happen for the start of the next school year, so September 2025, not even 10 months away. These things are complicated, and I don't pretend to be envious of the decision makers who have to work out how to keep our school system ticking over at a time when the birth rate is falling, and some schools have 9 spare places in reception, but a totally jam-packed Year 2 class. It's hard to see how you make those numbers work. But this isn't an issue that has sprung up and surprised people. The numbers of births are well documented, and a surplus of school places isn't new news. So why are parents, teachers and schools suddenly having their future turned upside down with less than a year's notice? A friend of mine has visited Lane's End Primary School and Gurnard Primary School in anticipation of Cowes, which, by the way, is an extremely popular and well-performing school, shutting its doors and leaving her daughter without a place. Not only could neither school tell her how they would handle taking on so many extra students, or how the process would work in terms of new teachers or classrooms. It's not their fault, they just hadn't been told the answers yet. But she was getting different stories about what would happen to Cowes Primary School depending on who she spoke to. It's an anxiety I might not have understood a mere 6 months ago, but now I can see that the uncertainty would drive you mad, almost as much as being told your son is cold in the supermarket.
Now for some public information. This is from Councillor Phil Jordan. Lots of good positive things happening. The budget delivered some small amounts of money to the council, about 1.4 million for social care, about 30,000 for homelessness, for example. We now await the annual financial settlement from government in December to see if we are awarded the 3 million or 4 million pounds as part of addressing our fair funding ask. I have spoken with our MPs who agree we might be getting that amount for next year's budget, followed by a fair funding review for 2026 onward. We are working hard to balance our budget, and the signs are that we may end the year on budget. Only a few months ago, we were looking at a shortfall of 3 million to 5 million pounds, but that through diligence, careful fiscal management and prudent savings, together with some great initiatives in social care, we may well end this fiscal year next March with an almost balanced budget. That is incredibly good news because it means we will start the next fiscal year on an even footing. We still must find savings, but with some additional funding from government already announced, potential extra money being confirmed in December, we may be able to reduce the impact of the savings requirement very considerably. I have already told the directors and financial teams we are determined to maintain the same parking charges this coming year. No increases should be planned. I have asked for charges on the floating bridge to be reduced. We will look hard at council tax, but we must be mindful of inflation and make sure we have taken that into account. We are making some positive changes in children's services by providing homes for care leavers over 18 and saving around £500,000 in the process. We have put into place a whole property action team who are already delivering homes for those in temporary accommodation and saving money as well as providing a much needed home some families desperately require. We are getting families out of hotel rooms and caravans and putting them in their own home. We are providing around 75 affordable homes a year and plan to increase that significantly. We have placed 10 sites on the open market, all of which can be developed with housing. We have 10 more sites coming through the system. It never happens quickly enough, I know, but it is happening, and we are saving taxpayers money in the process. 200 more families and we will have eradicated the number of families in temporary accommodation. Next is the housing list register, which we are working on to reduce with truly affordable homes for island families at a price they can afford. It is not easy, but we are doing it. We have 27 affordable homes, brand new, going to house families currently living in temporary accommodation soon. More affordable homes to come next year at the hospital site near Camp Hill.
What's on? Perfect Family Christmas Show. A festive theme show is set to delight audiences next month. Squashbox Theatre's The Christmassy Christmas Show of Christmassy Christmasness will be performed at Key Arts Newport on Saturday, November 30th. The show, part of the venue's Christmas Crackle weekend, promises a celebration of all things Christmas, including fir trees, fairy lights and sleigh bells. It will also feature a snowman living in a fridge, a game of Hunt the Brussels Sprout, songs, puppets, quizzes and comedy. A spokesman for the theatre said, "The perfect family show that's sure to get everyone in the festive spirit." To book, visit keyarts.org.
An art exhibition showcasing work from 17 artists has opened. Key Arts is hosting the Portfolio exhibition, featuring a variety of art forms, including painting, print, drawing, textiles, ceramics, bookbinding and sculpture. All artists involved in the exhibition have taught on Key Arts' 30-week-long portfolio preparation course, devised and developed by professional artist Nick Martin. The exhibition displays recent works by the course tutors, demonstrating the strength of their practice and how this might inspire future students. Key Arts Visual Arts Manager Ian Whitmore said, as coordinators and exhibitors alike, Nick Martin and I are super pleased with the portfolio, which functions as a quality group show, an advert for Portfolio long format course beginning March 2025. The exhibition runs until the 23rd of November.
Sci-fi art at free exhibition. A free art exhibition featuring a Mountbatten Isle of Wight patient is set to close soon. The show by island-based artist Clive Redfern Burrows is dominated by sci-fi themes and includes portraits of actors Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, as well as Batman villain the Joker. A third of the sale price of some of the paintings, which are for sale, will be donated to Mountbatten. Mr. Redfern Burrows said, "We've got a mixture of paintings at this exhibition. I wanted to show how diverse I was." The exhibition at the Newport Hospices Art Gallery off Halbury Lane is free to the public and will only be open for a few more weeks.
Just a few things that are on at Medina Theatre. The Isle of Wight Cantata Choir, their autumn 2024 concert is a celebration of the genius of W.A. Mozart. Mozart's powerful Requiem is among their greatest and most popular of all classical choral works. In complementary contrast is Mozart's Vespers for a Solemn Confession, and this takes place on Saturday the 23rd of November at 7:30 p.m, and the tickets are £16.50, £6.50 for a child. Aladdin, a pantomime you've been wishing for, with stunning scenery, colourful costumes, toe-tapping tunes, bucketfuls of comedy, and an eye-popping special effects. This takes place from the 21st to the 30th of December at 2 p.m. Tickets are on sale for £20.50. All of the information and booking can be made from the box office on 01983 823 884.
First NHS Trust Santa Dash. An NHS charity is to hold its first ever Santa Dash. The event, organised by the Isle of Wight NHS Trust charity, will take place on Sunday, December 15th. Starting at the Royal London Yacht Club in Cowes at 10:30 a.m, participants will have the option to race along the seafront for either 2 kilometres or 5 kilometres. The charity will provide the Santa suits, and everyone who takes part will get a medal. Bacon and vegetarian rolls, as well as hot drinks, will be on sale. To sign up, go to www.iow.nhs.uk/getinvolved/charitablefunds/fundraisers-us.
Finally, a few letters, and this one is from J. Hooper in Shelfleet. I yearn to get the flowers back. During the summer, remember that? There was a wonderful sight in the fields from Elm Lane on the Newport to Yarmouth Road. It stretched for about 3 small fields and was a blanket of sunflowers and other wild flowers. If I could have stopped, I would have taken a photo. It was a beautiful sight, and with all this doom and gloom at the moment, it was a reminder that nature can lift the spirit and make your day that bit better. I hope the person that planted the flowers will manage to do the same again before the whole stretch of this main road becomes one big concrete housing estate.
Huge influx from George Lee of Cowes. A recent letter praised the value immigrants bring to this country. County Press, 8th of November. But, as he says, let's stop for a minute and consider what they do actually bring. In the previous 2 years, the number of legal migrants has reached nearly 1.5 million net. That huge influx has put more pressure on the NHS, makes it more difficult to get on the housing ladder, and makes it harder to get a timely GP appointment. It's unsustainable to keep adding to the population in such numbers, even if a few are praised as valued nurses and doctors.
And from Andrew Grand in Carisbrooke, immigrants enrich our society. Further to Alan Marriott's positive letter about immigrants, was in the County Press on the 8th of November, this country is going to become more reliant on immigration in the coming years. In common with most Western countries, we have a declining birth rate and a declining working age population, with an increased proportion of our society made up of older people. The populist politicians who bang on about the evils of immigration have no answer to this. They just foment fear and hostility. Immigrants and non-white people have experienced disgraceful hostile behaviour in recent times, yet the country desperately needs to make them welcome if our ageing population are going to be properly provided for in the future. Throughout our history, immigrants have enriched our society and become part of it.
This is not a Dallas freeway from Paul Philbrough of Ryde. Network Rail weekly attempts to justify swathes of motorway-style steel sheet crash barriers across 2 Ryde bridges on grounds of safety and concern for well-being. County Press, 8th of November. By that argument, we should erect impenetrable steel barriers along our sea walls and cliff tops. We would lose our sea views and visitor revenue, but we could justify it by invoking the demigod safety at all costs. Walks along Apley and Puckpool would not be the same, or have the same amenity value. A tall wall of steel is not generally considered beneficial for one's state of mind, but they would be safe. Perhaps it has all been an administrative error. After all, the plating is not 4 foot, the common de facto standard for the past 150 years as reported, but is now 1.8 metres. A planner in a mainland office who'd never been anywhere near our town, mistyping an instruction on their keyboard? It is easily done, and the new height is certainly a mistake. Perhaps the steel sheets are intended as a cheap temporary fix to sign the work off quickly. Perhaps the change in loading capacity from 3 tons to 40 tons flags that the traffic on Monkton Mead streets is going to change in other ways to warrant the new height and materials. The design was submitted on behalf of Network Rail by a giant multinational corporation called AECOM. Yes, this is Monkton Mead Ryde, and not a freeway around Dallas, Texas, which is where AECOM is headquartered. Is this vandalism the same paternalistic faux concern for island residents claimed earlier this year by ExxonMobil?
And that's all we have time for today. So it's goodbye from Madeline.
And it's goodbye from John. The BBC In Touch programme follows, and the scaffolding news follows that.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello. Later today, a yoga course designed specifically with blind people in mind.
Come back to center, and I'm going to use my fingertips. Try to touch your shoulders with the fingers. Perfect.
But first, for some months now, we've been hearing excited murmurings from visually impaired people in the know about the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. Now, they're glasses that link to a smartphone app and enable you to use the glasses' built-in cameras to record videos, take photos, you can make phone calls, listen to music and audiobooks. And they're not just smart in the technical sense, they look good too, which is a bonus as they have the potential to provide blind and partially sighted people with much more information about the world. Potential which is being enhanced by developments in, guess what, artificial intelligence. Well, we'll come to those a little later on with 2 people who've been using the glasses. But first, from this week, we're being told, you'll be able to use them in conjunction with Be My Eyes. Now, that's the free service which connects visually impaired smartphone users with sighted volunteers who can help with various tasks, such as checking the labels of the stuff in your fridge, locating the nearest bus stops or railway station, much else besides. Well, I've been talking to Mike Buckley. He's Be My Eyes Chief Executive.
When using the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, you can literally say, hey, Meta, call Be My Eyes. It's really the beginning of a deep partnership between Meta and Be My Eyes to try to make the world more accessible, but also do so in a hands-free manner.
Now, that is key, isn't it? Just explain why that's so important.
Well, think about it this way. Imagine if you're at home and you're trying to set up your router or your Xbox, perhaps bake a cake, right? And go over the instructions. It could be anything. The notion that you can get interpretation of visual information while having your hands free just enables a remarkable additional swath of things you can do. Look, it's additional power for the blind or low vision consumer who doesn't have to be holding up a phone to get this information.
Because normally you have to point the phone at the thing that you want your volunteer to see.
Exactly. And the implication is not just on rudimentary things like, doing my laundry or baking a cake or whatever the thing is. And maybe that's more than rudimentary if you're in my house because I'm a terrible cook. But think about what this could mean for employment. If I, as the blind or low vision worker, can access my environment, right, or my computer or the PowerPoint or the Excel or whatever it is and have my hands free in the workplace, that's additional power. It's additional productivity. Hopefully it means additional employment opportunities. And so I'm really excited about the possibilities of what this could mean.
Now, to use this, you need the glasses, the Meta Ray-Bans. How expensive are they for a start?
It's a great question. The price points that I've seen are about, and this is, pardon me for using US price points, I don't have the conversion in my head, $299 US to about $349 US. Now, that is not nothing, but it is dramatically cheaper than a lot of the other wearable assistive technology we've seen for the blind and low vision community. It's very big change in terms of this market.
Now, we've kept hearing the word soon, which is why we've rather held off until now, because we didn't want to kind of wind people up, get people excited about something that wasn't ready yet. Is it really soon now? What's the situation?
It's November 13th, so it's incredibly soon, yes.
Right. Yeah, I make that tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I think where this goes long term, maybe I should say midterm, because it may be 2 years or less, where you can have your glasses on and you're walking down the street and you should be able to get real-time visual information and description. I think it's navigation. I think it's the ability not only to, see a historical site or a document, but also the ability to ask follow-up questions, which is part of what AI is all about. And the ability to ask those follow-up questions of another human or of an AI system is a remarkable thing. I think the only limitation is the limitations of what the AI is capable of.
Mike Buckley, Chief Executive of Be My Eyes. Well, I've also been talking to two people who've already been using the Meta Ray-Bans. Technology advisor Jackie Brown and broadcaster Ian McRae. Now, this is Jackie interrogating the Ray-Bans for information.
Hey Meta, where is my nearest supermarket?
A nearby supermarket is Crawford's Supermarket at 21 Main Street, open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. today.
Hey Meta, do you have a phone number for them?
The phone number for Crawford's Supermarket is 44-287-964-23.
Hey Meta, how far away is it?
I can't help with that yet, but I'm learning every day.
So, nice bit of publicity for Crawford Supermarket there. Jackie Brown, let me bring you in first. Just explain the range of what you're able to do at the moment.
I'm able to do things like ask it, as I did, where the nearest supermarket is. I can ask it the time. I can ask where my nearest bus stop might be, all those kind of things. I can also use my phone's voiceover, and I can listen to what voiceover is telling me, as well as the Meta View voice. But what I can't do at the moment is we can't ask it certain questions like look and tell. There is a feature that's being rolled out in America, and I think Australia as well, where you can ask it questions about what it sees in front of you, and you can ask it things like reading a document. You have to be very specific about what you ask Meta to do. But when you ask it those things at the moment in the UK, it's saying, I'm sorry, I'm only a voice assistant. I can't help with that. You can't actually interrogate Meta AI at this point. Well, at least some of us can't. Others have reported that they can. So the rollout of it is a bit strange. And this is what we're dealing with at the moment.
Let me bring Ian then in. What's your experience been? Because you've been using them too.
My experience with them has been a bit disappointing. I had a notification from the Meta View app on the 13th of October telling me that the AI functions are now available in my location. Now, I've had the specs since July and have been using them since then without the AI. And there are things that I like about them. For instance, the fact that they use what's called open ear technology, which means that there's nothing over your ears or in your ears in order to listen to them. The sound comes out of speakers which are mounted in the arms of the specs. I like that because if you're out and about and you feel safe enough doing it, you can listen to music, or if you want, you can hook up to one of the navigation apps which is available on some smartphones and follow navigation instructions that way.
But what I don't understand, Ian, is why some people are able to use this and some people aren't.
That's what we don't understand that either. Now, I've had it doing it, but what I had to do, and what a lot of people have got round this, was download what's called a VPN. It's a virtual private network, which means you can pretend to be somewhere else in the world.
That's perfectly legal, is it?
It is. It is perfectly legal to do. There are lots of them out there. And when I had the VPN running, I was able to get the AI features working properly that they have in, say the States and Australia. But when I got the same notification that Ian did, I then dispensed with the VPN and I tried to use them with the AI features that I was hoping to get the look and tell, and it just doesn't work.
I've not been so well served as Jackie with regard to the AI that is available. So the other day I asked, hey Meta, where is my nearest co-op? And she told me that the nearest co-op to me was in High Street, Ruislip, which is about 8 miles from where I live. And I know, in fact, that there is the co-op literally 100 metres from my house.
Well, perhaps this is the moment to tell you what we've been able to find out. A spokesperson from Meta told us...
In the UK, we've begun rolling out Meta AI on Ray-Ban Meta glasses as voice support only to start. There is no visual input capability just yet. Multimodal AI on Ray-Ban Meta glasses is currently only available in the US and Canada and rolling out in Australia now, and we're working to bring it to more people around the world, including the UK.
Well, unfortunately, and not for lack of trying on our part and requests for an interview with someone from Meta, that doesn't really tell us any more than we already knew. Clearly, there's still a lot to find out, and we'll update you if we can get any more answers. In the meantime, we've mentioned a couple of times that Meta isn't the only company doing this kind of thing. Jackie, what's your view of the overall picture and what the alternatives might be?
Well, there are alternatives, but they're much more expensive. And I think this is why the blind community, if you like to put it that way, are very keen on getting the Meta glasses working. The alternatives, there is the Envision AI smart glasses, which, to be fair, the software is purposely written for blind and partially sighted people to use, and it does work well. But they are nearly £3,000, which, compared to £300, it's all a considered purchase, but let's be honest, it's a lot of money. So there are those, and there are also the Celeste glasses, and there is another manufacturer coming out with the Echo Vision glasses, which also look interesting, but it's very prohibitive, Pete, as you know yourself. Most people don't work, they have to get PIP and so on. For most people, they're just not going to be able to afford those. For me, it's early days, and I think it's just a case of wait and see.
Well, look, thank you both very much. I bet there are still quite a lot of people who will just go crashing around with their white sticks like me and asking people if they want to know where the nearest supermarket is. But Ian McRae, Jackie Brown, thank you both very much indeed. And now, from the latest assistive tech, to a practice which can be traced back to northern India around 5,000 years ago. When you think of yoga, we often picture following an instructor's movements, watching carefully as they demonstrate each pose and position. But what if you can't see those movements? Well, that's the challenge being tackled by Sight Scotland. They've launched specialised yoga classes designed specifically for people with visual impairments. The charity has developed innovative ways to make this ancient practice accessible to those of us who can't rely on visual cues. Our reporter Ian Hamilton didn't just observe from the sidelines, he joined the class to experience firsthand downward facing dog, child's pose, etc.
Tam, hey, where are you?
I'm here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ian. My name is Tam.
Tell me what happens here first of all.
Of course. So we are at Portobello Library in Edinburgh for yoga session for blind and visually impaired people.
How and why did you start doing this?
When I was a teenager, I had a friend, a very good friend who was blind. I've seen how difficult some basic movements are for him. I've seen how difficult balancing is for him because he doesn't have an eyesight. I give very clear verbal cues for people. We have a slower paced yoga practice.
This is not going to involve me sitting on the floor with my ankles behind my neck, is it?
We are generally speaking sitting on a chair, upright, comfortable.
Hi Emily, how are you?
Oh, Emily is here.
I got the keys from you.
Can you give me your full name?
It's Moira Ayton. I lost my sight a few months ago, and so I decided I'm going to have a go at it because I was a bit sort of down, losing my sight, and I thought, right, I'll have to make an effort. And I think it's also a way of meeting other people, because you think you're the only person.
Do you know what to expect today? Have you got an open mind?
I hope they're not going to make me stand on my head.
That's what I was worried about as well.
First and foremost, I would like you to take a comfortable seated position. And we're going to take a deep breath, close our eyes, and just sigh it out. So you just start making a small circle simultaneously with both shoulders while trying your best to sit upright and keep the head where it is. Beautiful. Come back to center, seated upright. And I'm going to use my fingertips, so elbows 90 degrees up to the side of the body, and try to touch your shoulders with the fingers. Perfect. And I'm going to use my elbows now. Kind of imagine you're swimming. And I'm going to start making small circles with the elbows. And imagine you're actually, like you are, working out these muscles now, so they get stronger and stronger every time you do these. You can put down the hands on the thighs and just give the shoulders a little shrug. I wish you to have this state of mind throughout the rest of the week. Thank you for coming today, practicing yoga with me today. Namaste.
Thank you. That was lovely.
My name's Emily Armstrong. Well, I've got macular degeneration. I've had it since 2011.
Can you explain to me what that experience was like for you there just now?
It was wonderful. I felt so calm, and he does it so well.
Are you affected by anxiety? Because that was his theme today.
Well, I do have a bit of anxiety. I think we all do.
So, Moira, this was your first day here today, wasn't it? The same as me.
Yes.
So, what was your experience like?
I thought it was great because I missed my life and driving and going out, and I felt I had this tension in my neck, and I really felt today helped to release that. And I'm definitely going to come back. And now that I've met all these other ladies, you're not alone.
The theme today was anxiety.
Yeah.
Your sight loss, is that giving you a bit of anxiety?
Yes, it does. My left eye, the retina, it started detaching, and then I started getting blood vessels, and it started bleeding, and my sight just went. My right one's not quite as bad, but I'm in a haze. I mean, I can see a very good-looking man with a beard.
Oh, yeah. Your sight's not that bad then, is it? So, Tam, that's the class been gone and done.
Yes. How did you enjoy? What's your experience?
As someone who's always thinking about the next move and a bit of a control freak, it was quite difficult to let go. But about 10-15 minutes into it, I was starting to kind of relax a bit more. You're very good at explaining what was going on, because quite often these things can be quite difficult to follow. How conscious are you of that when you're explaining what people have to do?
Technically, I'm trying to even keep my eyes closed when I'm giving the instructions, just so I can kind of feel better what needs to be said. Because when you tell people, lift your hands up, you can lift your hands in so many ways. It's very important to give very clear verbal instructions, and I hope I managed this with you as well.
All women, though?
Yes.
No men, apart from you and I and Daniel, my producer here, we're just standing around looking pretty, I think.
Yoga and self-care and mental well-being is very much dominated by women at the moment. I don't know why men have struggles taking steps to admitting that they have mental health issues or physical issues.
So men listening to this on the radio in the Edinburgh area, what would you say to them?
Come to yoga, speak to me. If you feel intimidated by the ladies, we can set up a men's yoga group.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Ian. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you for coming to yoga.
Ian Hamilton reporting. Just one more thing before we go. We're now pretty confident we will soon be able to put your questions to Sir Stephen Timms, Minister for Social Security and Disability. With a clearer idea now of the government's longer term plans, do send us your questions on benefits, social care, transport. The choice is yours. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or leave a voice message on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter White, and producer Beth Hemmings, goodbye.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Scaffolding and skips news for the week commencing the 15th of November. In the Newport area, Malthouse Court, Crocker Street, 10 Crocker Street, Island Beds, 90 High Street, Mencap, 69 High Street, Outside the Entertainer, St James Street, 48 High Street, 120 Lower St James Street, 36 High Street, Hong Kong Express, Holyrood Street, 47 High Street, Shoe Zone, High Street and 1 Holyrood Street.
Ryde area, pavement outside 29 to 30 Cross Street, 45 George Street, Cloud 9 Cross Street, 63 George Street, Serendipity Diamonds, 185 High Street, 51 Park Road, Weatherspoons Union Street, Crepe Lovers, 21 High Street, Hong Kong Express, Esplanade, 107 Monkton Street, 29 St John's Road, Solent Inn, Monkton Street, Hayes Travel High Street, 76 George Street and 1 Foreland Road, Bembridge, The Lodge, Fairy Road, Seaview.
And in the Shanklin area, 47 Regent Street, 7 Esplanade, Pencil Cottage, 2 Church Street, 112 Regent Street and 64 High Street.
In the Cowes area, 72D High Street, 73 High Street and Moira House, Sun Hill.
And in the Ventnor area, Mandarin Chinese, 92 High Street.
And in the Freshwater area, Shirley House, Avenue Road.